A lot of people say that the Chinese government, including the European Union, the Chinese government is unfairly subsidizing the EV industry. It's not fair. It's making it uncompetitive. It's giving them too much of an advantage. Is this true? Well, here's the thing. Whether you believe that or not, maybe that's a moot point. Because the reality is this. The Chinese government has poured hundreds of billions of dollars into the development of electric cars. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching The Electric Viking. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. I want to say a big thank you to our Patreon supporters, guys. Really appreciate your support at the moment, especially. And also YouTube members. If you'd like to be a member, I'll put a link in the description below. Now, guys, what's going on here in China? Because this report says the Chinese government has invested more than $230 billion into its EV industry, but that doesn't count all the private investment from BYD, from Geely, Zeekr, Xpeng, NIO, all these other car companies, right? Who have invested many, many billions of dollars themselves. You're probably looking at, more than $500 billion in total being invested into the EV industry, which is mammoth. That's insane. And that doesn't count companies like CATL and BYD with their battery manufacturing and all the other battery companies in China as well. Now, automakers and governments are clearly very afraid of Chinese EVs. They've got 230 billion reasons why they should be. I've just been in China and the cars there are far superior, guys. I love America, but the car fleet in America is aging, it's old. To be honest, the same thing for many places in Australia. People are driving around these dumps these diesel powered dumps that are just basically spurting massive black fumes into the air. I was in 3 different cities in China. A lot of traveling. Did not see that anywhere. None. I didn't see that at all. They completely modernized their transport industry, and at the same time, the air there was so clean. I never remember walking around in the cities and thinking, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm choking on fumes. And I feel like that every time I walk somewhere here in Australia. It is shocking. Here in Australia, the fumes here are horrendous. And for all the people that live near freeways and highways and busy roads, I honestly, 100% say this with total sincerity, I feel sorry for you. If you can, move away. It's so bad for your health. Now, China has revolutionized its automotive industry, but I don't think it's just about taking over the world. I think it's also about improving its citizens' health, because healthcare costs are astronomical. And China's air is shocking. I mean, Chinese government does things like this. When they have some sort of big show in Beijing, some fair, they actually force the shutdown of many factories for that week in order to make it look like the air is much better. And they also do things like this. You've got to go into a lottery just to get a registration plate in order to buy an internal combustion car. A lottery. It doesn't matter how rich you are. You've got to go into a lottery. Now, if you win the lottery and you can get a registration plate, it's still going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars just to register an internal combustion car. They are trying to get rid of them, which is brilliant, and it's working. But all that investment is leading to one thing, and that is their products are better. They are. Their products, honestly, guys, the software is better. Their products are better. You got to go there, see the cars, drive the cars. You'll see what I mean. And that is a threat to the West. That's why Europe is putting massive taxes on EVs from China. Are they taxing internal combustion cars from China? No. EVs they're taxing. What about the US? The US is doing the same, 102.5% taxes. Now, a new analysis for the Center of Strategic and International Studies has revealed the Chinese government has spent a staggering $231 billion to help support electric vehicle firms between 2009 and 2023. That's a massive number. It dwarfs the $1 billion the government has provided in upfront clean vehicle tax credits this year. Guys, the US government, wow. I mean, they are spending so little money. Honestly, guys, I know people say Tesla gets incentives and etc. The incentives they're getting are nothing. They're peanuts. Does Tesla get paid to sell cars outside of America by the US government? Do they? No, they do not. The entire German automotive industry has received billions and billions of dollars in subsidies. Now, the biggest reason, in my opinion, that the US is falling behind is there is not enough subsidies. Now, this sounds crazy. I'm not even a fan of subsidies. I'm not. In fact, I don't like them at all. But if your competition is going to do it, it's going to pour this amount of money and this amount of subsidy, this amount of support in many different ways into EVs, then you kind of have to do the same. You don't have much choice. Otherwise, you're just going to fall behind, right? Unsurprisingly, most of this spending is recent. Apparently, only $7 billion was spent between 2009 and 2017, over 8 years. However, that number tripled during 2018 to 2020, but it rose sharply since 2021. Now, these numbers, by the way, they are estimates. The Center for Strategic and International Studies noted the Chinese government support EVs in many ways. It could be higher numbers than this. Some of the support includes rebates and a sales tax exemption, as well as funding for infrastructure, like fast chargers. On top of that, the government buys EVs for itself and supports automaker research and development programs. And in my opinion, this just makes sense. The level of support varies. The government has significantly increased its spending, though, on research and development programs in the past few years. Between 2009 and 2017, only $2 billion was spent in this area, research and development. However, that jumped to $3.6 billion in 2018 and climbed to well over $4 billion last year. The Center for Strategic and International Studies said their estimates are highly conservative. So this number could be much higher. It could be much higher than $231 billion just from the Chinese government. They don't even factor in all levels of government support. And this is where it shows these numbers are probably ridiculous, because state level support in China, from what I've seen, all the news reports that I've been seeing over the last three and a half years since I've been reporting on this to you guys, state level support seems higher than actual federal, as in top level government support. It's higher because a lot of these factories, almost all these factories that companies are building, BYD's building, that companies are building in China, they're getting huge subsidies at the state level, massive. I mean, many of them paying almost nothing for the land and the factories. So this state level support means this number could be well over 5 billion just from all levels of Chinese government. This includes local incentives, land gifts, discounts on electricity, supplier subsidies, all kinds of tax credits as well. Speaking of the latter, battery giant CATL reportedly got a whopping $809 million in subsidies last year. That's more than 10 times what they got in 2018 and twice as what they received in 2022. So China is publicly saying, we are scared that CATL and BYD particularly CATL, have a monopoly on the global battery market. That's what they actually said. We're concerned, but then they're kind of helping to facilitate that, helping to make that happen. The organization says the impacts are substantial as the playing field has been fundamentally altered. This will make it much harder for others to compete in China or anywhere else where Chinese EVs are sold. While China is far from the only country to support automakers and electric cars, the amount of government support, it is absolutely astronomical. There's no question. This has created problems of its own, as the country is said to be home to more than 200 EV companies, with almost none of them profitable. Now, we know BYD makes a profit, or at least it did last year, but it is true that there is an oversupply of EVs. This, of course, helps to explain the price war. The same thing is happening in the solar industry in China as well. The Center for Strategic and International Studies believes a number of Chinese automakers will collapse and go bankrupt. It says some will assuredly be mainstays in the global industry. I think you know who they are. I mean, Geely, BYD, but others will not. Others will go bankrupt. And in fact, another one, there's a story, Chinese media this week, that another car company, EV company in China is about to go bankrupt, which is probably not that surprising. The winners will win big, the losers will lose big. Thanks for watching.